Hello everyone, I'm Dalton Burdett.
I'm Nick Iricchio.
And we are the Movie Nights.
Well, some of them.
If you're watching this because you want to hear our uncensored,
unfiltered
thoughts and opinions about the world of movies and entertainment news, so kick back,
relax,
and thank you for being part of the conversation. How's it going, bud?
Good, how about you?
Doing good. I'm really excited about the show we got for everybody today.
I think so too. It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a nice, easy, smooth show. No technical issues, no scheduling errors, just the show.
Sunday, microphone's ready to go.
I was waiting on your third one.
Yeah, that was
I'm
it.
Sure there was a third one.
That was all I got, yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and dive in, man. What you got for us?
Yeah, no, so the first topic comes to us from Deadline. Warner Brothers has officially set a sequel to the movie Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves, with Francis Lawrence, the director, returning.
Yeah, so this is actually some really surprising news that came out of last week. For those of you that don't know, John Constantine is a character in the DC Comics world. Kind of has a love-hate relationship with that world. You know, this movie, if you watch this movie, you wouldn't know that. But, you know, in the comic book world, he deals with all kinds of characters. The character recently appeared on the CW verse. He had his own show called Constantine for a while. But his comic, I believe, is called Hellblazer.
I'm not familiar with the character.
Hellblazer, I believe is what the comic Hellblazer is what I'm gonna go with. Hellblazer. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. But it was a really interesting book. The movie is not like that, and actually at the time when the movie came out with Keanu Reeves, it wasn't very well liked. A lot of people were disappointed by the changes they made, and the people who weren't familiar with the comic just like didn't know what it was or was supposed to be, and it kind of just came and went. But over time, you know, over the course of over 10 years. It kind of has gotten a cult following, this film, this 2005 Constantine film. And Keanu Reeves always spoke openly about loving playing the character and wanting to do more, but it was just kind of something that like, oh, you know, it's kind of was ahead of its time and now it's passed up. Well, like you just said, Deadline is reporting that there will be a sequel. Finally, I'm going to pull this from Deadline. Warner Brothers will develop another installment of the 2005 supernatural thriller Constantine, and the studio is reteaming star Keanu Reeves and director Francis Lawrence, who made his humming debut on the original. Reeves will reprise his role as a supernatural exorcist and demonologist, John Constantine, who in the original is dying but stays around to save his soul by keeping demons from hell from breaching Earth. He also gets between a battle between the Archangel Gabriel and Lucifer. Very biblical, cool stuff.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I might have to watch this.
And Lucifer,
yeah,
the show, is a DC character. And that Lucifer is like the one that Constantine goes against.
Oh, okay.
Not like the actor, but like, for example, when they did the CW Crisis on Infinite Earths,
yeah,
Lucifer from the very popular TV show showed up and had a scene with their Constantine.
Oh,
like,
that's
cool. It was very, very interesting and cool that they did that. But yeah, no, so I'm excited about this. It's been, I will admit, it's been a long time since I've seen the Constantine movie. Sorry if you can hear Hendrix playing with his dog toy out there. But it's been a long time since I've seen the Constantine movie. I'm going to have to rewatch it. But I remember thinking it was fine. Like, I was a kid when I saw it, and I'd never read the comic at that time.
Yeah.
And I love Keanu Reeves. I love that they want to do this. That's the most exciting thing. And Francis Lawrence, good filmmaker. I think I'm in, you know, and hopefully as part. And what I find really interesting is, like, with Warner Brothers, all the cuts they've been doing and all the like the money saving, they're like, and we're greenlighting Constantine too.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I mean, depending on how much it was made for, it says it made $200 million at the box office. So yeah. I imagine that was probably a hit.
Maybe. Here, actually, I'm gonna look that up. I'm curious.
Yeah. One thing I think that's interesting about that is, I saw an interview with Keanu Reeves a while back. I think he was on one of the late night talk shows, like a Jimmy Kimmel or something, and he asked him, he's like, "What character do you want to play again that like no one ever on the street is like, yo, when are you going to be this character again?" And he's like, "Now think about your answer for a minute, because now it's going to cause a whole havoc." And he straight up said, like, "I loved Constantine. I'd love to do Constantine again." Yeah. And no one talks about Constantine. And this was
years ago.
Maybe, I don't even think so. I think it was like promoting.
Was it Bill and Ted?
It might have been promoting Bill and Ted or something. Within the last year or two. So I think it's nice to see that it actually someone at Warner Brothers was listening and went, "Oh, yeah, go on."
Yeah. So like, honestly, I'm just surprised that this is surviving all of the
acts of Zaslav.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't think David Zaslav knows it's a DC character, so that might be it. but which would be funny.
Yeah.
But Also, I looked up the box office. It was made on a budget of $75 million, so it made 3 times the budget. So it was a success.
I guess you said it just critically wasn't well received.
Yeah, it wasn't very well critically received at all.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the news. Constantine 2 officially happening, which is very surprising. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments as we move on to our next story. Nick, what do you got for us next?
Next one comes from Deadline as well, and a slew of HBO Max original movies swapping to theatrical. The latest one is Magic Mike's Last Dance, the third installment of the Magic Mike franchise, starring Channing Tatum and all them. It will be coming to theaters winter 2023.
Thank you, and first of all, thank God that this film is coming to theaters.
Finally.
And we've seen this trend with HBO Max. Speaking of Warner Brothers, continuing that trend. Yeah. Either your film's getting canceled or you're getting promoted. And luckily, in this case, this film got promoted. Yeah. We've seen this happen with Blue Beetle. We've seen this happen with Evil Dead Rise. And now it has happened with Magic Mike's Last Dance, which I believe has Soderbergh returning to direct, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I'm going to pull this from Deadline. Keeping in line with Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav's business belief that movies are destined for theatrical, not streaming, the originally conceived Steven Soderbergh-directed HBO Max threequel Magic Mike's Last Dance is headed to theaters on February 10th, 2023, which is Super Bowl weekend. Warner Brothers already had their dates set aside on the release calendar. There's a window between theatrical and HBO Max with premium VOD in between, as I understand, says the writer of the article. The threequel returns franchise stars Channing Tatum, Salma Hayek, Caitlin Gerard, Gavin Spooks, Reed Corlin, who wrote the screenplay, Gregory Jacobs, who directed the 2015 hit Magic Mike XXL, returns to produce, along with Carolyn, Nick Weichler, and Peter Kiernan.
I mean, quite frankly, I liked them both equally.
They're both good movies.
Yeah.
And they're shot very well.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't. If you told me that he didn't direct the second one, I was shocked by that information.
Yeah, no, but like they're both fun, and they're both good. Like they're good movies. I think the first one's better than the second one, but like they're both good.
Yeah.
And like, here's the thing: they're fun. Like people are gonna have a good time watching this Super Bowl weekend. I'm generalizing here, but all the husbands are going to watch football, then all the wives get to go watch Magic Mike. It's great.
I think what's interesting, too, is, they're funny. There's also, like, some good character work on, like, all of them.
Especially with, like, with the lead character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like those movies had no right to be as good as they were, especially based on, like, how they were marketed.
Yeah.
Which, if you go back and watch, like, the trailers, you're marketed a very different movie than you get, which I love when stuff like that happens, personally.
And also, the Joe Manganiello dance sequence
in the convenience store.
Is it the second one or the first one?
I think that's the second one.
Second one. It's one of the best movie scenes I've ever seen.
When he's in the convenience store trying to, like, seduce the clerk.
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing stuff.
No, I'm very excited for that. I'll say it. I'm loving the Channing Tatum resurgence.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I was never a big Channing Tatum guy. He was fine. He was just kind of typecast in the same type of roles, and I think he's really pivoted now. All of a sudden, he was in nothing for a bit, and then we had like The Lost City. He was in Free Guy. He had a cameo in Bullet Train.
Yep.
Now Magic Mike 3's back. I'm loving where he's found himself in this world.
He took some time off, but now he's coming back with a vengeance. He's having fun, and I think that's
the big thing.
That's what's really fun to see. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, Steven Soderbergh, very famous director of such films such as the Oceans 11, 12, and 13. Mm-hmm. He directed Logan Lucky, which was so good.
Logan Lucky's a good one, yeah.
He also directed some really popular films. He directed... Did he do Crash? What's that movie I'm thinking of? Oh, he directed Aaron Brockovich. Hold on, there's one that I'm forgetting that's going to fucking eat at me if I don't get it. Traffic, Sex, Lies, Videotape. He's directed a lot of great films.
I see only positives in this story.
Yeah, no, same. I'm really glad that it's going theatrical. Zaslav is a madman, but one of the things I mostly agree with him on is like, put movies in theaters first. They actually do better on streaming when you do it that way. Mm-hmm. So I think that's great. What do you guys think about Magic Mike's Last Dance going to theaters instead of its original HBO Max release? Let us know in the comments as we move on to our next story. And this one I'm particularly excited about.
Yeah, this next story comes from The Hollywood Reporter. Blade Runner 2099 limited series is a go at Amazon. Ridley Scott will serve as an executive producer on the show from Shining Girls creator Silka Lucia.
Fuck yeah, man. I don't know who has the exclusive on this story. It was kind of just like done in a press release, but like all the major trades have confirmed that the series Blade Runner 2099 is a go at Amazon. First of all, Amazon's got shmoney. I mean, we knew they had money, but like the Lord of the Rings show, how expensive that is, it's not going to be cheap to make a Blade Runner show. Like, first of all, can I just say, thank you, Amazon. I love the Blade Runner franchise, if you will. Although I have not watched the Black Lotus anime, I heard it was good.
Oh, there's an anime for it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I heard it was pretty good. I love the first film. I really love the second film. They are beautiful films. Ridley Scott, Denis Villeneuve, and the fact that this is canon and it's taking place after 2049, I'm just excited to see the story continue. Like, I was really, especially in the second one, all the backstory we were getting about like the blackout and all like the revolutions going on and all that stuff. I thought it was really interesting. And especially with where it ends, there's a lot you can do. And I know it's going to be like 50 years later. So I'm curious to hear what the backstory was from how 2049 ends.
Yeah.
And what I'm really most excited for is like Blade Runner. It was both examples of they made all-time great movies, the first Blade Runner and the second one, years apart. Both of them tanked at the box office. But for some reason, like in the film community, Blade Runner was a very popular film, but for some reason in the wide general going audience, it just never clicked the way it should have. So my hope is with the Blade Runner series, since it's on TV, it's more accessible. If they market it correctly, that's the gold. Because I will say, 2049, great movie, horrible marketing. Horrible marketing. I think if you can market a Blade Runner show and spark that interest of what is this? They look up Blade Runner. Oh, it's movies. I just think that in the end, this is going to get more people to see Blade Runner. And that's what we want at the end of the day. I'm excited for that. What are your thoughts on this series, and are you looking forward to it?
Yes and no. I have some hesitation. I really need to personally revisit the franchise because the first time I watched Blade Runner was with you when we were in college. And we started that movie at like 11 o'clock at night, which I was already in bed at that point. You know what I mean? So I feel like it was just so much to take in and process. And then we only watched it that late because we were seeing
the second one
the next day.
Yeah.
So I then immediately trying to process that, seeing the new one, just like all the whiplash.
And both are very like thematically heavy. Like you need a moment after watching both of them. Yeah. So
I do think I need to rewatch them. I think that from my recollection, I remember them being very well made, especially 2049, which was directed by
Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve, who did Arrival.
He did Arrival. He did Dune.
Yeah.
Prisoners. Yeah.
I could tell how loud it was.
He does like loud
He
movies.
likes a loud movie.
Yeah.
But I do love some sci-fi. And so if you're going to give me a sci-fi with good IP, then absolutely. And Amazon's not afraid to put money into things, as we've seen with The Boys, as we've seen with, I haven't watched Lord of the Rings, but I've heard the production value on it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good home for it, if that's where it needs to go. Is there anything about like Harrison Ford, Gosling returning?
No, nothing on that yet.
Okay. 50 years, you kind of have...
I have a feeling that they're going to say Harrison Ford is dead. And that it looks like, mild spoilers for Blade Runner 2049, it looks like Ryan Gosling's not making it too far.
Yeah.
It's ambiguous, but
Yeah.
Theoretically, he could come back. Of the two.
I just don't think you're getting Harrison Ford, even if the character could live that much farther.
But hey, if the character's a replicant...
Yeah.
He could be. Which, dude, by the way, genius. They didn't answer it in the second movie.
Yeah. But all I'm saying is that Harrison Ford seems like the only character he likes to play is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So the fact of going back, the fact that they even got him for Blade Runner again, impressed me.
Yeah. It was an interesting one, to say the least.
Yeah.
But, yeah. No, you bring up a lot of good points. I'm excited. And again, I just hope that this leads more people to watching Blade Runner. What do you guys think about this? Let us know in the comments as we move on to our next story. And this one is going to cause interesting discussion. Go ahead and kind of give us the whole rundown of what's going on.
So should I just kind of do both headlines back to back just to give...
Yeah, let me do some background about Hulu.
Yeah.
So a few years ago when Disney bought Fox, which was this huge deal that happened.
Yeah.
A really interesting thing went down. They put in a bid, I think it was for $40-something billion. It wasn't a bid. They made a public announcement that they were going to make this transaction.
Mm-hmm.
But legally, other people are allowed to bid. So Comcast, they make this whole announcement, PR announcement, like Disney's buying Fox. We're so excited to be blah, 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 blah. And Comcast is like, we're going to bid $54 million for it. And Disney was like, fucking hey. And they ended up paying like 70-something billion for Fox. And Comcast, in my opinion, had no interest in buying Fox. They just wanted Disney to pay more for it. And they're pulling a similar move with this because when Disney bought Fox, they acquired their stake that they had in Hulu. Originally, Disney, Fox, Comcast, and I think one other studio had shares of Hulu, the famous streaming service. And Hulu, when Disney bought them, Disney became majority shareholder, which means Disney now owned Hulu. But they don't fully own it because Comcast still has a remaining, I think, 25-something% stake. I'm not sure the exact stake. Comcast still has stake in Hulu. We've known for some time that Comcast is looking to remove its sports from Hulu and putting it onto Peacock to promote Peacock. But while we've been thinking that, we've also been thinking on the Disney side that Disney, once that happens, once Comcast gets rid of their share, Disney wants to take Hulu and just merge it with Disney+. At least that's been like a prevailing theory.
Mm-hmm.
Well, throwing it to you, some fun stuff is going on with that information.
Yep. So one of these headlines comes to us from Variety, the other from The Hollywood Reporter.
Yes.
So Variety is saying Comcast would be interested in buying Hulu from Disney if it was up for sale. Then over on The Hollywood Reporter side and the Disney side, Bob Chapek says Comcast would need to offer, quote, reasonable terms for Disney to buy Hulu stake earlier.
Yeah, so basically what's going on is there's a time limit on Comcast's stake in Hulu. I believe it runs out in 2024. According to Hollywood Reporter, the 2024 deadline is when Comcast's remaining stake in Hulu gets removed, unless they, make a deal to up it. And this is what Bob Chapek had to say in regards to that. There's a little bit of consumer friction in terms of having to go out of one app and into another app. So as long as I think we long-term can avoid that, but 2024 is not far away. We'd have to have full ownership of Hulu to integrate it into Disney+, which is what we always said they were going to do.
Yeah.
We would love to get to that endpoint earlier, but that obviously takes some level of propensity and the other party have a reasonable term, blah, 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 blah. He's basically saying, like, look, we'd love to do it before that, but they'd have to make an offer to us. And if you read the articles and you go on, apparently Disney claims their stake is worth about $8 billion. That's pretty good stake.
Yeah.
But on the Comcast side, this is what Comcast CEO has said in another attempt to get Disney to pay more money than what they're wanting to. They're doing it again like they did with the Fox deal. The Comcast chairman, I'm pulling this from Variety, the Comcast chairman and CEO of Hulu, let me restart and use English. The Comcast chairman and CEO called Hulu a phenomenal business and said if Disney were willing to sell it, the cable and media giant would be interested in buying it out. Hulu is a phenomenal business. Its scale is fantastic. It has wonderful content, Robert said, speaking Wednesday at a technology conference in San Francisco. If it was up for sale, Comcast would be interested in buying Hulu 100%. I think Comcast would be interested in buying 100% of Hulu, and others would, I think, as well. So so here's the correct breakdown. Disney owns 66% of Hulu. Comcast owns the remaining 33%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Disney recorded Comcast interest in Hulu being worth $8.6 billion, implying the valuation of a $25.8 billion. So basically, Disney says your stake is worth $8 billion, and Comcast says no, it's worth $25. So basically, they're doing it again. They're trying to get Disney to spend more money to get what they want. They have no interest in buying Hulu. They just want Disney to spend more money to get Hulu. And honestly, I think it's genius. But for Comcast's sake, I'm going to throw out a theory here that I think is really important. Okay?
Go on.
Tinfoil hat is on. I'm going to also say that. Sometimes you have to offer certain things to get what you want. I think Disney is going to tell Comcast, we will give you $25 billion for your stake in Hulu, but we also get the distribution rights back for the Hulk. And maybe that deal already happened, which is why all this World War Hulk stuff was coming out. I doubt it. I think if we heard that, if that happened, it would be everywhere.
Yeah.
Because for those of you that don't know, Universal still owns the distribution rights for a Hulk film. The reason why Marvel hasn't made anything with Hulk in the title for a movie since the 2008 one is because Universal has first option rights to distribute that movie, which is why. But Marvel owns the production rights. So they can put Hulk in anything. They put Hulk in Avengers. They put Hulk in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, She-Hulk now.
She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And they own the rights to She-Hulk. But they cannot release a movie with Hulk in the title without first giving Universal the option to release it, which of course they'll say, yes, it's a money printer.
So would then, in that instance, would Marvel just basically get their money back and then go from there? Like, how would that work? Like, if Marvel put $200 million, they were like, we really need to do a Hulk movie.
Mm-hmm.
Universal gets to distribute it. Does Marvel just get their $200 million back and then that's it?
Maybe. It might just be whatever the production budget was back, and then Universal keeps the profit. That might be it. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's how I always interpreted it. Yeah.
I might have to look into I'd have to look into the details of that deal more, but that is a good theory. That's how most deals like that go.
Because I think that's the Spider-Man situation as well.
Yeah, that is the Spider-Man.
So now could they do a movie that doesn't have Hulk in the title, that is a Hulk movie? Like solely?
No. Like, they could try.
Like, could they call it Planet H or something like that?
Universal would sue and win. Like it would be one of those.
That's fair. Like, it's like, come on, you knew this is what you knew what this was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if that deal has an expiration date. By the way, it might. But that's just a tinfoil hat theory. Maybe they'll do that to try to get the rights to the Hulk back. But I
feel like Hulu's more of a money printer than a Hulk.
Absolutely. But Disney, the thing that sucks is Disney already owns majority of Hulu.
Yeah.
And that you can tell they want to put it in Disney Plus. I want that as well. I think that's a phenomenal idea. They just can't because Comcast is like, we still have stake in it.
Which, I mean, correct for them.
Yeah.
Comcast is doing nothing wrong.
Now, I'm also going to let's assume for a moment that Comcast wants to buy Hulu, actually. Like, let's take his words at face value and that he's not just trying to get Disney to pay out more. Peacock sucks. Owning Hulu, suddenly Peacock is great.
Yeah.
But is it worth however many billions it would cost for that?
Well, then you either just toss Peacock onto Hulu or you toss Hulu onto Peacock. I think you go with Hulu. I feel like the brand better's on that. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that Comcast is doing everything correctly.
Yeah, I think so too.
Get as much money as possible from Disney.
Get as much money as possible. Get them to spend as much money as possible.
Yeah. That's business.
Yeah, absolutely. And but yeah, I just think that's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. What I see happening is they wait till 2024, Disney gets the rest of it, and they fold Hulu into Disney Plus. I think that's what's going to happen. I would love for the Hulk rights to finally come back home. If they got the distribution rights back to the Hulk, and some meteorite hits the Earth in which Sony gives the rights to Spider-Man back, then they finally own everything.
Oh, Sony should never give that up.
1,000% no.
I mean, I would love them to, but they shouldn't.
It'd be great. No, it would be the biggest. If Sony ever gave up Spider-Man to Marvel, it would be the biggest idiotic decision ever. Like, here's the thing. If you're Sony and you're selling Spider-Man, you don't sell them for anything less than like $6 billion, maybe more.
Yeah.
Lucasfilm was bought for $2 billion. They made that back in a movie.
They made that back at Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. And Lucasfilm encompasses like Willow, Indiana Jones, all that stuff. One movie. Now, granted, they bought Lucasfilm from... That was a production company, by the way. It wasn't a one character. They didn't buy Han Solo. You know, they bought all of Lucasfilm. George Lucas got a $2 billion check. That's crazy. But like, Spider-Man, like the Spider-Man character, The most recent film made almost $2 billion. The one before that made $1 billion. The ones before that made like 800. And Venom, the Venom movies made 800 million. Morbius, but like that's, Yeah.
Yeah, the Sony Spider-Verse has already made like $4 billion relatively.
Like $6 billion is the cheapest I would offer it. Honestly, I would go out the gate, I'd be like $10 billion. Because that would take you a few fucking movies. It would take you a few years.
It's a trilogy and a couple spin-offs that perform well.
Yeah, it would take you a while to get that money back. Because if you're Sony, that's what you want. Like, you know. And if you just got a $10 billion check, that'd be awesome. But I don't think anyone's going to pay. Like, Marvel's not going to pay $10 billion to get Spider-Man because they've proven they don't need him.
Yeah.
You know, like that was the whole reason why Spider-Man was able to go into the MCU was because for 8 years, Marvel proved they didn't need him. And that's why that deal ever took place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird tangent. But thank you. Before we move on to the box office, I actually want to do a bit of housekeeping. While we love having you guys join and watch us on YouTube, I am reading from a script, don't judge me. We get that life gets busy and you're constantly running around, or maybe you just don't like to see our faces, which I fully understand, especially Nick's. So for your listening pleasure, the Movie Nights Roundtable is available in audio-only form on Spotify, Apple, Google, and all other major podcasting platforms. Simply open your podcasting app of choice, type Movie Nights Roundtable into the search, and look for that big yellow logo. Dude, that was good. That was a good script. Nick wrote that, ladies and gentlemen. That was good.
That. What an ad read, by the way,
what
folks.
An ad.
Good job.
Thanks, man.
I liked that. Good delivery.
Dude, if I get that unscripted, I'm unstoppable.
We're going to be done. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Oh, we have a sponsor. Our sponsor.
Our sponsor?
I fucking forgot to mention our sponsor. Oh, my God. I need to briefly... Okay. We made a pre-recorded video. I'm really sorry. Wow, we would have lost a lot of money on that. That is ridiculous. Ladies and gentlemen, please take this word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by no one, because we have no money or global outreach. Fucking A. Again, big thank you to our sponsor. The show wouldn't be possible without you. So anyway, let's move on to the box office, shall we? So opening number one, making $19 million, was The Woman King.
Ooh.
Which I still haven't watched. We're behind on movies.
We are very behind.
We gotta see fucking Pearl, dude. We're gonna get into that. Anyway, coming in second, dropping 40%, and I believe it's second weekend.
Top Gun Maverick.
No, Barbarian.
Hell yeah! I just saw it again last night.
I think it's the second weekend, right?
Oh,
did it open last weekend?
I think 2 weekends ago, actually.
Oh, was it 2? Fuck. 2 weekends ago. I'm sorry, everybody. But it made $6.3 million. Coming in third was Pearl.
Nice.
Making $3.1 million.
Ooh.
I don't know if it has its budget listed, though.
I saw an article saying that I think the first one opened to 4, so it was a little bit of a...
Yeah, but I think the first movie was made for $1 million.
Was it really?
I think. And the second one was made for almost the same. We'll look that up in a minute. Now, coming in fourth was See How They Run, also making $3.1 million. Oh, and by the way, reminder, these are the Sunday estimates. So the final numbers could be different tomorrow, which I'll put those numbers in the comments. Or the comments, the description.
Video description, yeah.
Very tired. See How They Run came in fourth, making 7... Wait. Worldwide, it made 7. Making $3.1 million. That looks really good. I got to see that as well. And coming in fifth, beating out Top Gun Maverick, Bullet Train.
Bullet Train still make it, man. It is slow. Bullet Train came out so long ago.
Making another $2.5 million. Top Gun Maverick did come in sixth, though. Bullet Train's worldwide total is now $222 million. And it has officially made 2.6 times its budget.
Profitable!
Good job, Bullet Train. I really like that movie. I'm just going to look at some worldwides here. Top Gun Maverick's worldwide total is now at 1.463. Let me see if Jurassic World ended up making it. Nope, 996. Damn.
It's insane to me just hearing these numbers based on like stuff we had at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Where it's like the fact that the number The fifth movie made like just over $2 million.
Yeah.
Where before it was like the fifth movie was like 20 million.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's happening right now?
Yeah, it's not great. Let's see how much. What?
Go to your local theater. Support them.
Yeah, so X's budget was $1 million, which is crazy. And Pearl's budget, it was also $1 million. Like, I assume it's around the same.
Mhm.
It's not more.
No, definitely not.
So $3 million, it's too
Profitable.
profitable.
I'll tell you what, they marketed the shit out of Pearl. It was
Yes, they
every
did.
time I opened an app.
And by the way, I saw a thing. I was already going to watch Pearl because we love the movie X, and this is a prequel to that movie in the same year. Love it. Do that more.
Next year gets a sequel.
Yes, it does.
Mhm.
What I loved about it was the marketing, and something I heard, and I was already going to go see it, was this movie is Psycho meets The Wizard of Oz. And I was like, all about that. Please give me more of that.
My favorite review I saw was it's a Technicolor nightmare. Like
that
in
as well.
in a good sense.
Yes, that is awesome. But that's the top 5 box office of the last weekend. And before we go, we do have a movie review for you guys. We did see one movie.
We did
on a Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Because it was a Fathom event. Ladies and gentlemen, we saw a movie I've been looking forward to for many years.
It's 2006.
Yes. That little movie was called Clerks 3. Which, by the way, I'm reading that through tonight. It should have, from Fathom Events, about $2 million total.
Okay.
And it made it on a budget of $7 million. And with the tour that he's doing, he'll make that shit back easy.
Should clear it, yeah.
But let's talk about Clerks 3.
Where to begin?
Where to begin? First of all, I didn't dislike Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, but I also admit that I mostly like that movie because I'm a Kevin Smith fan and because I love the View Askew universe.
I feel like that's most Kevin Smith movies really do a lot of heavy lifting on you just liking him.
Yeah. Especially like post Clerks 2.
Yeah.
I think. But I will say, Clerks 3, I thoroughly enjoyed. 1, as a Kevin Smith fan. 2, I thought the drama worked as good, if not better, than the comedy did. Kind of going back to the Chasing Amy-ness of Kevin Smith. 3, the performance. I love Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson, like Dante and Randall. Iconic people in my sphere of movies.
Yeah.
Both of them crushed it.
Way better than they had any right to be, based
Yes.
off of not really acting much since Clerks 2.
Yeah, and here's the thing. They're not bad act. Like, they weren't bad in the
No,
other films.
yeah.
But like you said, just the gap of not really doing much work and just coming out the gate fucking swinging.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But the film had some surprises and turns that I didn't expect it to have. It broke my heart in the first, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You see something on the register, and I literally, the whole theater was like, like when you saw it, like, I don't know if I heard
Yeah,
audible
no, I did
gasps.
too, yeah.
Like it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Jason Mewes, the Jay and Silent Bob characters, very well used.
I think the best use of them, personally.
It was very good.
Sometimes they can be a little
They can be a lot.
overpowered.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, no, this isn't the Jay and Silent Bob movie. Let's
Yeah.
tone it back a bit.
But I thought they were well used. I like the meta-ness of the movie. It was a celebration of Kevin Smith's career while also just being a staple of when he had his heart attack.
Yeah.
And, how he looks at life now. And as someone who, I'm going to be honest, guys, Nick was right there. I had a visceral emotional reaction to the movie. I cried like a baby. I cried after the movie, talking about the movie. Nick didn't leave dry-eyed either. I do want to point out.
I did cry a few times, but man, it was good tears though.
God. And
a lot of that movie hits home on certain things, which we don't want to go into spoilers, but all of a sudden you just get gut punch after gut punch, and you're like, that's just not okay.
Yeah, it was a lot. But what really did it for me, for those that don't know, the first Clerks movie is very influential on me. Pursuing movies and filmmaking. That was the movie where I was like, oh, I can do this. And I loved how it was written. I love the characters in the movie and how it was made. It was one of the most inspiring pieces of work where I'm like, holy shit, I can do this too. It was it really left a mark on me. Clerks 2 the first time I watched it, I actually saw Clerks 2 before Clerks 1 when I was a kid. I just thought it was like, oh, it's a comedy movie.
Yeah.
Clerks 2, later in life, when I watched it right as I was like graduating high school, hits on then that movie grew to hit me as much as the first one did.
Mm-hmm.
Not the first couple times I saw it, but when you got to a certain point in your life, it just nailed me in the heart. And this one, like the first Clerks movie, the third one, hit me the first time I watched it, and that it was right at the point in my life, not physically where the characters are, because they're in their 50s and gone through some stuff, but what they were doing and the emotional arguments. Like they had arguments in the movie that I've had with people. It was very, very touching and emotional to me. With that being said, I know a lot of moviegoers who would not like the movie, just who don't really like Kevin Smith's humor or that style. I do think this is more of a, like, I don't think you could even watch Jay and Silent Bob Reboot if you didn't like Kevin Smith. I do think you could watch this. Yeah. But it helps a lot seeing the first two and knowing the story of how the first Clerks movie got made. Like, that helps a lot.
I think the issue, too, is a lot of the movies, like Clerks and Clerks 2, I think they are great. A lot of the humor and references are very dated. So I feel vulgar. So I feel like if someone is hearing this review and hasn't seen them, like watching 1 and 2, they're going to be like, they want me to go see a third one? I feel like it's unfortunately a product of having seen them in the past already. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, from a directing standpoint, some of his better work, like with the camera, the way certain scenes play out from a color perspective, like everything just...
Yeah, especially emotionally. And like, there's a great sequence, it might be the best sequence in the movie, where they're shooting a scene, because like for those of you that don't know, the plot of the movie is Randall wants to make Clerks.
Yeah, one of the characters has a heart attack like Kevin Smith did, but instead of making Clerks 3, they're making the first Clerks.
Yeah, and it's
in universe.
Yeah, and it's a very meta moment. Yeah. So the characters, the third film in the journey you're watching is them looking back on their journey at the beginning and making the movie that we've already seen. It's very meta, but they're making the movie. And there's a scene where they're if you're familiar with the first Clerks, you know the shot. It's when Dante's laying on the freezer, Randall's sitting next to him.
In black and white.
And then they're playing the scene as if they're shooting the fake movie. But then it would cut to color to Dante laying on the freezer as he says his lines. And his lines are reflecting how he's personally feeling. And it would cut back and forth from the movie they were filming to how Dante's really feeling. Like, I thought that sequence was great.
Yeah, that's like his best directing.
And like the monologue he gave at the end of that, fucking unbelievable. Like, there's some really good shit in the movie. And Jay and Silent Bob, always funny.
Always hysterical.
So for some of it, they reshoot scenes from the first Clerks because they're making the Clerks movie, and they did one of my favorite scenes, and it's when he tells the lady, "You're not allowed to shop here anymore," and Jay goes, "Yeah." I love that scene so much. It's so good. But Jason Mewes was great. It does have one of my favorite Jay moments when he's like, "I'm gonna stop you right there. Who the fuck is Dante?"
Yeah. I think what really comes across in this movie is that it is a movie about the love of making movies.
Yes. Which is why it hit us very personally.
So I feel like that just plays so well. And there's a lot of inside references to the greater Kevin Smith View Askew universe that I think plays well. There's a ton of cameos, which some of these actors popped up and I was like, oh, wow, he got them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I want to watch it again and just see if I have that same, like, strong emotional reaction.
I'm getting the Blu-ray, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But, I mean, I think it's my favorite Clerks movie, probably my favorite Kevin Smith movie off of just the initial viewing.
Yeah. I don't know if it's my favorite Kevin Smith movie, but it's up there. It's in the upper echelon. I love Clerks too. And I love Chasing Amy. I love Dogma. Damn. I'm just thinking about all the Kevin
now you're
Smith
just naming
movies.
Kevin Smith movies. Yeah.
Honestly, Zack and Miri is so underrated. That movie is fucking hilarious. Yeah.
Tusk.
Dude, Tusk is fantastic. They're making Tusks. Did you hear that?
No.
They're making a movie called Tusks. And Justin Long is coming back.
Yes. Justin Long is back, and I love it. He's been in
Justin
so much
Long.
lately, and I'm here for
Justin Long is a great... We could talk about Justin Long for 3 hours. But yes, it's a huge recommend for me for Clerks 3, pending you're a fan of that type of movie, and especially recommend if you've seen the first two. If you haven't seen the first two, I would say the experience would differ greatly.
Watch them with some hesitancy. They are a product of their time.
Product of their time, but they're still great.
Yeah.
I love them. If you didn't tell someone about the first Clerks, like what it is, and like it was made for like $27,000, people would turn on that movie and be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
It's so great.
I would agree with your consensus. Definitely a recommend.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
Another reading.
Gotta pull out the old pages here. Gotta get need my glasses. If you liked what you heard today and want more, don't forget to subscribe to the official Movie Nights YouTube channel for weekly shows and movie reviews. You can also check out our social channels where we post updates, short video clips, and more. Those links can be found in the video description. Man, I hope I remember that. That would be embarrassing. But yeah, that's it for the show today, guys, unless you had something.
No, that's about it for me.
Sick. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.